Good day, everyone. We are Group 7, and I am Diether Bryan, a BACOSA, and I'll be discussing about the taxation during the pre-colonial era, Spanish era, and the American era. Based on the internet, taxation is a mandatory contribution to the state treasury to be used in various upkeeps or services of the states. Also, it's the way the government operates to gain the taxes. In pre-colonial era, there is a taxation. At that time, tax was called buwis or handog. Everyone must pay taxes except for datus and pinuno because the datus and pinuno are the ones who provide security and protection for them so that Filipinos pay tax for their protection. Spanish era. In Spanish era, there are form of taxes. First is the tributo. In tributo, age 16 to 60 years old, obligate to pay taxes for 8 tribales is equal to 1 peso per year and offer goods and golds as a payment to the King of Spain. If the person does not pay taxes, there is a punishment for them. They are forced labor when individuals are compelled against their will to provide work or services through the use of force or fraud. In 1884, tributo was replaced by cedula, a certificate identifying the taxpayer that needs to be carried all the time. Paying cedula depends on person's income. We became familiar to the cedula to the line of GAT under Bonifacio, which is punitin ang cedula. Next is the encomienda system, which is land ownership granted by the crown to worthy peninsulares, was yet another form of tax income from the Filipinos. Sanctorum was the tax paid to the local church. The other taxes was the benta. It means tax was paid by the people in the provinces along the coast of Western Luzon to defend the area against the Muslim pirates common at the time. Last is the donativo of Zamboanga was tax specifically used for the conquest of Hulu. In American era, the Bureau of Internal Revenue was created through the passage of Reorganization Act number 1189 dated July 2, 1904. On August 1, 1904, the BIR was formally organized and made operational under the Secretary of Finance, Henry Idy, the author of the Internal Revenue Law of 1904. Tax that were collected are the income tax, a tax that comes from the person income. Real estate tax is an annual tax that all property owners need to pay. And last, the license tax, a fee paid to the government for the privilege of being licensed to do something.
Hello everyone, my name is Christian S. ABIN. My report is taxation during World War II, after the war, BIR, Marcos administration, and Cory administration. So first, the World War II. During World War II, when the Philippines was occupied by the Japanese, the Bureau of Internal Revenue was combined with the Custom Office, and this became the Custom and Internal Revenue. After the war. After the war, when the Philippines gained its independence from the United States, the Bureau was eventually reestablished separately, and this led to an organization. The Bureau had a total of three reorganization. The first was creating 31 inspection units, each of was under a provincial revenue agent. The second was the creation of three new departments, namely, first is legal, second assessment, and collection. The implementation of the withholding tax system was adopted by virtue of Republic Act 690 and the creation of the following offices tax. First is audit, second collection, three investigation, legal, administrative. The third was creation of the regional offices which divided the Philippines into three revenue regions. It was later on increased to 8, later into 10 in 1957. The accounting machine branch was also created into each regional office in the position title of the head of the bureau was changed from collector to commissioner. BIR. The Bureau in 1958 established the tax census division and the corresponding tax census unit for each regional office. This was done to consolidate all statement of set incomes and liabilities of all individual and resident corporation in the Philippines into a national tax census to strictly enforce the payment of taxes into further discourage tax evasion. Republic Act number 233, the rewards law was passed on June 19, 1959, whereby informers was awarded the 25% equivalent of the revenue collected from the tax evader in 1964. The Philippines was re-divided once again in the 15 region with 72 inspection districts. The Tobacco Inspection Board and Accountable Forms Committee will also created directly under the office of the Commissioner. Marcos administration. During the Marcos administration, new programs were implemented. The first one is the Blue Master program, which aimed to curb the abuses of both the taxpayer in Bureau and of Internal Revenue. Personal, the second one was the Voluntary Tax Compliance Program, which was designed to encourage professionals in the private and government sectors to report their true income to pay the correct amount of taxes. Each taxpayer was given a permanent tax account number, and this facilitated the identification of tax, which resulted to faster verification of tax record. Providing each taxpayer with a permanent tax account number (TAN) in 1970 not only facilitated the identification of taxpayer but also resulted to faster verification of tax record. Similarly, the payment of taxes through banks per Executive Order number 206 as well as the implementation of the package audit investigation by industry are considered to be important measure which contributed significantly to the improved collection performance of the Bureau. Core administration. During the Corazon Aquino administration, the Bureau launched Operation Waling Lagay to promote the efficient and honest collection of taxes. The adoption of the value-added tax system was on the structural reforms provided for in the 1986 tax reform program, which was designed to simplify tax administration and make the tax system more equitable. It was also in 1988 that the Revenue Information System Service RISI was abolished and transferred back to the BIR by virtue of a memorandum of order from the Office of the President, date May 24, 1988. This transfer had implication on the delivery of the computerization requirements of the Bureau in relation to its function of tax assessment and collection. The program contains several tax reform and enhancement measures, which include the use of the taxpayer identification number in the adaptation of the new paid and control system in simplified net income taxation scheme.
I am Izy JUANIZA and I will be discussing about the Ramos, Estrada, Arroyo, Aquino, and Duterte administration. During the Ramos administration, a program known as Action-Centered Transformation Program was undertaken in order to realign and direct the organization to attain the Bureau's mission and vision. The 5-year Tax Computerization Project, or TCP, was undertaken in 1994, where the Computerized Integrated Tax System and Internal Administration System was established. In July 1997, further streamlining of the BIR was approved in order to support the implementation of the TCP through the passage of Executive Order Number 430. The executive order included the highlights: creation of a fourth revenue group in the BIR, which is now the Legal and Enforcement Group led by a Deputy Commissioner, and the creation of the Taxpayers Assistance Service, Internal Affairs Service, Revenue Data Centers, and Information Planning and Quality Service. During the Estrada administration, to enhance the voluntary compliance and improve the productivity of the Bureau, priority reform measures were undertaken. The implementation of the Economic Recovery Assistance Payment, or the ERAP program, one of the most significant reform measures, granted immunity from adult and investigations to taxpayers who have paid 20% more than the taxes in 1997 for value-added tax, income tax, and other percentage taxes. In 1999, the raffle promo called Humingi ng Resibo, Manalo ng Libo-Libo was institutionalized in order to educate the public to demand sales invoices and receipts. The large taxpayers monitoring system was also established to closely monitor the tax compliance of large taxpayers. Measures that would enhance the compliance of taxpayers were prioritized. On September 1, 2000, To reinforce tax administration and enforcement capabilities of the BIR, the large taxpayer service and excise taxpayer service were established under the Executive Order Number 175. On the 31st of October 2001, under Executive Order Number 306, a new organizational structure was approved where the functions of LTS and ETS were integrated. In line with the Electronic Commerce Act of 2000, BIR implemented a full integrated tax system or ITS rollout acceleration program which facilitated the full utilization of tax computerizations. During the Arroyo administration, the BIR was transformed into a taxpayer-focused bureau. This was undertaken through implementing the change initiatives that were directed into making the tax system simpler to suit the Philippine culture, to give BIR more financial and administrative flexibility, and to transform the workforce to be more responsible to taxpayers' needs by redesigning the human resource policies, system, and procedures. The Voluntary Assessment Program and Compromise Settlement Program, along with other measures, were implemented to enhance the Bureau's revenue generating capability. The Electronic Filing and Payment System or EFPS, a technology-based system that promotes paperless filing of tax returns and payments, was adopted. The BIR expanded their electronic services which included web-based TIN application and processing, electronic receipts, invoices and raffles, e-payment gateways, e-filing of tax returns, and electronic submission of sales reports. The Bureau established the Run After Tax Evaders or RATE program that was conducted as special operations on high-profile tax evaders and the BIR Contact Center in the National Office and e-lounges in Regional Office. During the Benigno Aquino III administration, the BIR focused on the filing of tax evasion cases under the RATE program in compliance with the SONA pronouncements of the President. The closure of airing business establishments were continued under the Oplan Candado program. The BIR established the ISO certification of business registration processes to improve BIR's delivery of taxpayer services. Organizational changes happened during the Aquino administration, which included the renaming, splitting, merging, abolition, and creation of several offices. Several new divisions were created under the large taxpayers service and in the national office as well. A compliance section was created in the revenue district offices to monitor taxpayers' compliance with registration, tax filing, and payment requirements. During the Duterte administration, the filing of cases under the RATE program and closures under the Oplan Candado program were intensified. Revenue district offices nationwide conducted other tax enforcement activities on a regular basis. Significant revisions of the tax laws were implemented by BIR through the issuance of revenue regulations. The first revision, which was under the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion or TRAIN Act per Republic Act Number 10963, took effect on January 1, 2018. This was followed by the implementation of Corporate Recovery Tax Incentives for Enterprises or CREATE Act per Republic Act Number 11534, which took effect on the 11th of April 2021. A tax amnesty program per Republic Act Number 11213 was implemented as well, covering unpaid estate tax and tax delinquencies. The BIR pursued a digital transformation program due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This program covered the automation of the Bureau's key internal and external processes.
Good day. My name is Ellayza del Castillo, and my task for today is to discuss the power of taxation in the Philippines. We're going to discuss the taxation in the Philippines, importance of taxation in the Philippines, reasons to pay, types of taxes in the Philippines, and the agencies that collect tax. First is what is tax? Tax is a fee that we, the people of the Philippines, needed to pay. For the government, to fund their projects and services in our country for economic growth. Also, there are certain people who needed to pay for taxes, and the National Internal Revenue Code is the one who holds rules in taxation here in the Philippines. The importance of taxation in the Philippines. The taxes are used to develop our country through projects that contributes a lot to sustain and improve our economy. Also, taxes are to balance the wealth of the society to every citizen living on it to improve the way of living for everyone. Furthermore, it is used to decrease the consumption of the products like alcohol because it has a high value of tax. Why do we need to pay taxes in the Philippines? We need to pay because first, to contribute to the development of our country. Second is to secure the income documents. Third is to avoid committing tax evasion. Types of taxes in the Philippines. There are three types that the taxes can be categorized. First is the national taxes, local taxes, and the special taxes. National tax is a tax that the people in the Philippines pay and collects by the BIR. Second is the local tax. This is the taxes of businesses and other people locally, meaning it is involuntary. Third one is the special tax. It is the fee for purchasing such things or other transactions. Fourth one is the agencies that collect tax. There are three agencies that I include here to present the collection of taxes in the Philippines. First is the Bureau of Internal Revenue, or the BIR, that collects the national taxes in the Philippines. Second one is the Local Government Unit, or the LGU, who gathers the fees in localities. And the third one is the Bureau of Customs that collects the charge for importing and exporting of the products.
Good day, sir. I'm Edwin Jade CABASAG, reporting the contribution and relevance. Contribution and relevance of the past taxation to the present. We have four, and the first of from it is the Guide to Improve Current Tax Policies. During ancient times of Filipinos, and during the colonization of the Spaniards, the taxation was very simple. For example, you pay taxes, buwis, or handog in exchange to your protection. That is the main benefit that you will receive during the past. But now, in the present, we can obtain a lot of benefits as long as we pay our taxes. How does it happen? It is because taxation transformed from having a simple policy to a more diverse tax policies. Due to imposed policies, we are required to pay some taxes like national taxes and local taxes. As the society progresses, taxation continuously changes to fit the society's condition. That is why the past taxation is important to improve the present and the future tax policies. It is like a learning process for every generation. The second contribution relevance is sustained economic growth. One of the main goals of taxation is economic development even in the past. During the ruling of the colonial government, Filipinos were forced to pay tributo to the Spanish invaders. These tributes are their form of tax. This era started the modern taxation in the Philippines. Those said tributes are used to circulate the income of their government in order to supply their needs and to continue their conquest around the archipelago. And now, in our current time, we have a more legal tax policies that tries to achieve economic growth. But in the current status of our government, we are in a survival stage because of the debt we have, and that is the time train law comes in. And the third contribution and relevance is social contract keeps the relationship between the citizens and collector or the leader. Why tax matters? It provides revenues for the government to sustain economic growth and redistribute this collected wealth back to the people and address all necessities in life. In that kind of situation, people receive as they give. The accountability of the government towards the people improves. In the history of taxation, there is a force used by previous leaders of government that might cost your life. You have no choice but to provide because of their punishments. But as we can see now, taxation is more focused on the health aspect. The government we have is trying to prioritize the health, especially the health of the poor. Our taxes also goes to other government projects like roads and buildings, wherein we are the beneficiaries of those projects. Well spent budgets increases the trust of the people to the government, and they will be unhesitant to pay taxes because of it. Last, contribution and relevance. Punishment persists the taxation. During the period of the ancient Filipinos, punishment for not paying taxes was already implemented. And now in the present, there are also punishments. There are some penalties when we do not pay taxes. These are the criminal liability and civil liability. Examples of civil penalties. First is surcharge of 25% or 50% of basic tax. And second is interest of 12% or 20% per year of basic tax. And last is compromise penalties. With those penalties, it is clear that taxation continues and highly regarded because of punishments or penalties it carries. So that's all for our report, sir. Thank you.